Today we are going to talk about automation. What is automation? Automation is a automatic process through which you want to do some activities which normally you will do it manually. So you have to put some logic in place so that the automation can work. What are the different ways in which you can do automation in Salesforce? Uh, there are multiple ways. Automation usually you will see all these options under process automation. So the first and easiest way is to use validation rules. We'll discuss this in details. What are these? Second is workflow rule. Third is process builders. Fourth is the most important, flows. So this is now the Salesforce official choice of doing process automation. Apart from that, validation rule will also be there, very necessary. So these two are the most important items which you should start learning. Workflow rule and process builders I will touch upon today, but these are getting deprecated. So Salesforce has asked us not to use them any further because very soon creation of workflow rule and process builder will be deprecated and everything should be done via flows. Okay. So let's talk about what are the difference in this game. So what is a validation rule? A validation rule is a logic which fires when you hit the save button. Save button is where in a page where you want to make any changes to a record or create any new record, you get a save button, right? Save button can do what operations in an object? Anybody wants to give a try? Shreya or Gorgo? What are the different operations we can do on our table or object? These are the operations, right? So you will get the save button in create and edit mode. So the same window can be used to create and edit, and it is basically the page layout which is used to create a record or edit a record. Okay, so validation rule will fire before actually saving the record. That means before actually creating the record or before editing the record. Validation rules allow you to create custom rules for data validation. What is data validation? Why should it is needed? Not every organization needs data in the right format, which is already taken care of by field types, right? We saw that last day. So there are many field types Salesforce has given us. These field types make sure that you properly input the data which is needed for that record. Like phone number should be formatted as phone number. Email ID should be in the correct format. Number should not contain any alphanumeric characters. So all these validations are system-defined validations. System-defined validations are already taken care of by field types. So if you choose the correct field type, you already make sure that the data entered by the user is in the right data type. So one level of validation is already done. But if there is a business specific validation that is needed, which is only applicable for your business, like in the amount field, I cannot allow people to enter less than $100 or more than $10,000 because probably I don't want to do business or don't want to take any. I want to make sure that my sales agents are not doing business below $100 or over than $10,000. that is specific to your business. Salesforce will not be able to help you out on that, right? So you have to write your own validation to make sure that people are entering the correct data and forcing them to enter the correct data. So that is validation rule. Before we move into validation rule, a very important part of validation rule is also to check nulls. That means empty checks. There are many ways of doing empty checks in Salesforce. The first is for standard, let's like bifurcate this to a table. Standard fields, custom fields, right? Field type, page layout, and validation rule. You can check a field is empty or not and block people or make sure that people are entering records using validation rule also. When to use what? In standard field, you cannot use field type to make a field required. Standard fields are standard. Standard field cannot be made mandatory. Okay. So in field level, you cannot make a standard field mandatory. That is why you have to choose either the page layout to make the field mandatory or a validation rule to make it mandatory. You will see this. Custom field can be made mandatory in the field itself. You can also use page layout. You can also use validation rule. If you want to make a field mandatory and it is a standard field, then either you have to choose a validation rule or a page layout. If you have a custom field, it is custom field, then you can make the field mandatory directly on the field type itself. And both other options are also available. When to use what then? If the field is needs to be mandatory only for specific users and only in UI, then you can use page layout. But if the field is mandatory for all, then validation rule is the correct way of doing it. If the field needs to be mandatory even in data upload, then also validation rule is the best solution. Page layout does not work on data uploading. Okay. If you want to make it mandatory for a custom field, ideally this is the correct choice. There is no need to write a validation rule because you can make that field mandatory directly on the field. Okay, let's check this, how this works. If I want to be in the account, and these are the standard fields of account, I want to make the account number mandatory. If I want to do that, if I go and make this edit, I don't have an option to make it mandatory, right? But if I create a new field, which is a custom field, I can make this required here. If I make it required, immediately this become required everywhere. On all page layout, you see it is already ticked. You cannot take it out. It would be required in all page layouts. So when I go and now create an account, account name is the name field, which is normally system defined mandatory. But you see account serial also has a red star now. So you cannot now save this record without putting values in both these fields. So This is the field type. I am making this field mandatory in the field type itself. But the account number, I wanted to make this mandatory also, but I cannot do that in the standard field. So what choices do I have? I can make it mandatory in the page layout. So let's go to the account. And I have a page layout. So this is the account I am using probably. In that case, if I go to this account number and I use this properties, and I can make it required. If I make it required, then whoever is using this layout, I can check who is using this layout. You see, almost all profiles are using this layout. So the people who are using other layout, these people will not have this field as mandatory. But all other profiles who are using this layout, now if I go and try to create a account, you see, account number has now become has got the red star. Now all the three fields are mandatory for us, right? So now I have to test account 2. Account serial, I have to put some values. Account number, I have to put some values. Then only I will be able to save this record. That means this is not a validation rule. We have not created a validation rule till now, right? So in order to make a field mandatory, I have the page layout, right? But what if I have to make some field? I can also use validation rule. Please remember, if you have made a field mandatory using page layout, then basically the mandatory check in validation rule is not needed. But if I want to make it mandatory for everybody, then I cannot use a page layout. Then what? And I want to make it mandatory in page load also. In that case, I cannot do it. Then what I have to do? I have to remove this as my. I will make it back not mandatory, and I will create a validation rule now. Here is the validation rule, and now I will create account number cannot be blank. Please remember, this is basically the rule name, and what I need to check here. I will insert which account number. I will insert it, and I want to block. I want to give the condition which I want to block. What is the condition which I want to block? Account number equal to blank, right? That is it. And what should be the measurement? Account number cannot be blank. I can show this message on the top of the page. I can also show that just on which field is basically hearing it. So it is all active now. I can deactivate this if I want to stop using it at some point. So now I will go back to my account. I want to create a new account. Please remember, validation rule will fire on save button click. So in edit also it will fire. In create also it will fire. So it has still not taken the old. So test account 2. Right now I am not seeing a red star here, right? So you see that I think I can bypass now, but it is not the case. You see, now the validation rule is firing, and validation rule is showing this message: account number cannot be blank. So this is how this validation rule will fire for everybody, not only one page layout, right? So even if in data loading you're not giving this account number now, it will block your record creation, record updation. Clear? Validation rule can also be used for conditions like account number needs to be cannot be blank when account serial cannot be blank condition. So I want to give a condition that if here I have from functions, right? if. Let's use this if. You see, this is a logical function. What is the test? I will test first what is the logic. Insert field. Account serial is the serial I have used, right? Account serial not equal to blank. Then if account serial not equal to blank, so I think I will make it easier. So what is the condition I want to block? I want to block a condition that you have to provide a value in account number when account serial has been provided. If that is the requirement, what should I do? I will say insert account serial not equal to blank. What is the other condition? Other condition is account number equal to blank, right? When account serial not equal to blank and account number is equal to blank, that is the condition I want to block, right? Because I want somebody to provide a value when account serial number has been provided. That means when it is not blank, at that point, I want account serial to be also not blank. So I want to block the blank condition. So how to connect these two conditions? When both of this condition needs to be true, then only I will fire my blocker, right? That means I want to block this situation. What is the situation? The situation is the account number has been provided, but account serial number has been provided, but account number has not been provided. This is exactly what it means, right? So account serial number not equal to blank, that means it is provided. Somebody has put some value, it is not blank. And account number is blank. That is the situation I don't want. So how do I connect this? I can connect this using a AND operator. AND means both condition needs to be true. Okay. What is the OR? OR means any of the condition needs to be true. I will fire it. This is not the situation of any. It is a condition. So when this is true, this is also true. I want to block this. So I will say account number cannot be blank when account serial is provided. Let's test this now. So here I have gone into business, right? This is specific to my business. Salesforce will not provide this kind of conditions. This is specific to your business. So I want to test now. Test validation. If I put a serial number and I do save, you see, account serial number cannot be blank when account serial number is provided. That means I have to put some values. Then only it will allow me to save the account. Right? These are the situations in which you can make this validation rule will not fire if the account is not been provided. Now that field has been made mandatory. So I have to go back and let's take out the serial number field as mandatory. Account serial, right? What was the name? So now I will not make this field mandatory. I will take out the mandatory field. I will see what happens. Okay. Test validation 2. Here you see token account is still showing up. It takes a while for us to remove the cache. So please refresh it 1 or 2 times, then it will work out. Still not gone out. It will take some time for you to reflect because to make the page performant, Salesforce does it. Okay, it is still showing up. Let me check if it is working or not. Yeah, it's still working. Oops. Acha. It will show up after some time. I will show you. Let me meanwhile working. So you are understanding here that a validation rule is basically making sure that you are entering the data which you need for your business. You can have even some more critical validation rules, like uh, let's see all the fields of account. So here is a number of employees, right? This is a number field, and I want only my salespeople to work on employees which is greater than 50, right? My customer should be greater than 50. So account created should never be less than 50. I don't want this kind of customers, which is smaller customers. If that is the case, what will I do? Number of employees should be greater than 50. This is the field I have to enter here. Number of employees. Yeah. This is the employee field. This should be greater than 50. That's it. And I will number of employees must be greater than 50. I want to show this along with the employee. I don't know employee field is already there in the layout or not. Yeah. So this is my second validation rule. So if I do enter some values in the employee field, let's see what happens. Account serial is not still showing up anyway. Let us fire employees is 25 and validation employee test, right? Let me give some serial number so that it bypasses here. Account number needs to be provided. Okay, it's still not showing up. What happened? Sorry, it has to be a blocker. So I need a employee should be greater than 50. That means what should I need to block? Anything which is less than 50, right? Or less than equal to 50, right? Why less than equal to? That means even if you are entering 50, that should be blocked. So I have to use a less than or equal, right? This is the operator for that. And that is why it was allowing me, because it was blocking more than 50. That was not what I wanted. So now let me put it is needing some time to go there. So employees is 25. I want to start. You see, number of employees must be greater than 50. It is blocking anything below 50. Even if I put 50, it will block it. Right? So you can now control what data you want to enter into your application. So that is the power of validation rule. So validation rule not only allows you to make a null check, it will also allow you to create situations which you want to have a value. What if you want people to enter data between 51 to 150, not more than that? If there is more than 150 records, 150 employees, then it is probably a very large customer. You don't want to handle that. That means there is another condition here in situation, right? The employee comes into picture. And this time, I want to block anything greater than 150. So it will now allow 51 to 150 values, right? But anything below 150 needs to be blocked. What will you use between these two conditions to connect? And or? Gorgo?
Yes, sir.
What will be used between these two conditions? And or?
Sir, and
Why and?
Uh, I
And
don't
means
know.
both the condition is to be true. Okay.
Okay.
So is can both the condition be true when you are entering some data?
No, sir.
Then I have to block I if any of the situation arises, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So any means or,
Oh, any mean. Oh, okay, sir.
all means and,
Sir, all mean.
all means and. When
Okay.
all the condition is to be true, then only you want this validation to fire, then you have to use a and. If if any of the condition is true, you want to block it, in that case you have to use or. This is the perfect situation when you are putting some value less than 50, it should block. If you're putting anything over than 50, it should also block. Okay. So let's see this once again. I will now want to put a validation test. Still caching on that. Anyway. So I will now put 151. It should block this, right? I don't want this value. You see, it is blocking it. I did not change the error message. I have to change that also, but it is blocking me. If I put 50, it is blocking me. But if I put anything between, it will allow me to save. Yeah. So both the condition has been blocked. Can I write in the reverse way? The same thing? This should be the proper message, right? So how do can I write the same thing in a reverse direction? I have a blocker, right? Let's see this. What is a condition? That condition is true in both the situation. Let's see which I want to block. What I wanted to block individually, I wanted to block less than equal to 50 and greater than equal to 150. Let me reverse this. If the number of employees greater than 50 and number of employees is less than 150, this is the allowed condition, right? When number of employees is greater than 50 and number of employees is less than equal to 150, right? This is the allowed condition, right? I want, and both this condition can be connected with a and, but I am writing a validation rule, so I have to block a situation which is not both this condition, right? So it makes so easy if I just bracket this and put a not outside. Let's save it. So when number of employees is greater than when, so not when number of employees greater than 50 and number of employees less than 50 is not the situation. I want to block all these situations. Can I test this once again? Let's check if it is working now. Blocked. Blocked. Still working. That means the same thing which I had written previously. You can write this here. What is actually happening? I have reversed the condition inside. I have reversed the operator and I have reversed it outside. Why it is possible? It is possible because it's a logic operator which you always should keep in mind, because it might be in some situation the requirement comes in as, give me 1 second. Uh, Stop presenting. Just so sometimes the conditions for validation rule is provided by customers, which is negative. They will straight away tell you what conditions they want to block. If you get a list of negative conditions which customer wants to block, usually if you'll put a or condition for these conditions, it will work. Because validation rule, when you are writing, you need a negative condition, what you want to block. But sometimes customers will give you the allowed conditions. These are values which is allowed. 3 conditions, condition 1, 2, 3, these are allowed. Apart from that, anything outside is not allowed. If you are getting something like this, the best way is to put a not operator outside and put condition 1 and condition 2 and condition 3 inside. Very easy to. So you saw exactly what we did in both the situation. You can write the same thing in 2 ways, right? So I just showed you that is the way. So when you had the allowed condition, negative conditions to block, because less than 50 I knew I had to block, over 150 I have to block. So 2 conditions was there. I put a or operator and I was done. But if the customer said that I want 50 to 150 values only, anything beyond that and less than that I don't want, in that case I can write it like this: not, then that condition and another condition, when these conditions are not true, and not is the validation rule. Any questions so far? So when you get a requirement, look it, that is a positive condition customer has given it, or it is a negative condition. If the negative condition customer has directly given, it is very easy, just put a or on top of that. Or you can write the same thing in different ways. That is also the case. So validation rule is covered. Play around with it. You can do a lot of things with it. Okay, the 2 primitive methods of automation are workflow rule and process builders, right? We will not go to I think it is 11:30. The other guys are joining. Okay, let's look at workflow today. Process builder and flows we will do in the later date. What is the difference between a workflow rule and a validation rule? Validation rule is firing before save, right? But workflow will fire after save. Validation rule blocks record creation. Workflow rule can do some things like create task, send email, field update, and last is outbound message. This is advanced stuff. We'll not discuss this. So we'll see all these 3 things. How a workflow rule can help us automate some things, automatic work. Yeah, let's see that. So workflow rule is outside of object manager. Please remember this. So you have to go to, if you go to this type with automation, you see process automation will list all the processable ways of doing it. So workflow rules are the ways. There is other processes which we'll discuss later. Flows, approval processes, this will come, and process builder. This will come in that. corresponding classes. So let's see how a workflow rule works. So I want to create a workflow rule on a account creation. So when a account is created, I want to send a automatic, I want to create an automatic task. So I want to fire this only when account is created. I can also fire this rule when the account is created or edited every time, right? Whenever you hit the save button, it will always fire. That is also possible. I can also say that fire it when it is created, also fire it when this condition is met. So let me put some condition. I will say active equals yes. If I put an active is equal to yes, then only this will fire. Save and next. So this is the condition of rule firing, but actually what actions I want to do in this rule. So the you can do, as I said, create a task, email alert, field update, outbound message, or you can use any of these existing type of fields. Let's see, create one new task. So what tasks I will assign? I will assign to this user. I will say call customer, right? What is the due date? When the account is created plus 3 days, I want to uh, I want to I want to start a task. I will say call customer after 3 days, right? When the account is getting created, I want to automatically create a task. So let's do a save and do a done. And I do an activation. Now what happens? If I go to an account and I create a new account, test workflow task values, that's still showing this. Anyway, I have to log out, I think. Okay, I have not associated the account with. Okay, if I go to my task, okay, sorry, my mistake. So I will now create a, why did not it work? Let's see. Task workflow task 2. It did not create a task last time. And why did not it create a task? Anybody wants to give a try? Because I did not put the active as yes, because that was the condition. So now I have created an account immediately. I have also see I can there is a new upcoming task that got created automatically by Salesforce. So this is a reminder for me after 3 days that I have to call this person. This becomes easy if your business wants that there is an automatic reminder which you should do that. What if I also want to send an email to this person that you have somebody a new account has been created, you need to call this guy after 3 days. Just that because every day he uses his email more than that. For creating any kind of email, first you need to have an email template. Template means what is the format of the email. Let's first create an email template. So I can use a lightning email template. Let's use the classic email template only. It's just a text message. Okay. And I will probably use that later. Unified classic template available for use. I will say account create. Right. And subject is account created. New account created. Please call after 3 days. So this is the mail I want to send when the account is getting created. I also want to see, because all accounts will have the same message, right? I will not be able to distinguish which account got created. So let me put, say, merge field. What is a merge field? Which is a changing value. For every account, it will be different. So I will take a value of the account. I will select the account name. This is the merge field. It automatically creates for me. I will copy it and paste it both in the subject as well as in the body of the mail. Okay, this is the format of my email, right? This is how it will be. It will be sent out, but actual email needs to be used. So I will go back to my workflow, select my workflow again, and here edit it and add the new email alert. And I will say account create email, and which template I want to use, format, just this one which I created. Whom do I want to send it? I can directly send to the account owner. Every account owner will be different. They will get that message. So if I save and new, then that is it. There are 2 items now I am firing and I am doing done. So what will happen now? If I go there and I create a new account, paste workflow 3, and I put some values. Sorry, I forgot to put the yes again. So please remember that condition you should not forget. The condition was active is equal to yes, right? It did not work. So I will have to put the condition, otherwise it will not fire. Down below, active has to be set to yes and save. So now you see the task has been created. Let's see if I've got any mail. If I go and like open my mailbox and I shift to my personal mail, because that is the mailbox I'm using. You see, this is the mail I have got. New account created, test workflow flow, please call after 3 days. This is exactly the account I created. What if I want to automatically set the account type to prospect? All accounts should be set to prospect. That is what I want to automatically. I want to fill this. This is where the field action comes into picture. I come as prospect and field which the account type, right? And it is asking me which values. I will say prospect and I will save it. So now I have done a field update and prospect, and I have done. So now let's test once again. And active is equal to yes. So all the things is happening. I am getting my task alert. I am also getting a new mail. And what else is happening? If I go to details, I will see that a type is now automatically populated. I have not put this value, but this workflow is taking care of automatically filling it up. So these 3 actions both are possible. Outbound message will not cover this. It is related to sending some information outside of Salesforce to any other application. Okay, advanced topic. I'm not going to discuss that. So this is what validation rules and workflow rules are all about. Please, I think enough for the day. Please go and play with it. And in the next session, we'll go to process builders and workflows. Any questions so far? Okay. If we, I will stop recording. Stop presenting.